Welcome to the Deep Dive. We know you're keen to get a solid handle on important topics without getting totally bogged down, and yeah, that's what we aim for here.
Exactly.
Today we're focusing on something that's clearly sparked your interest. AI, artificial intelligence, but specifically how it's being integrated into primary schools.
Right, and we're looking at it through the eyes of John Goodier. He's a computing lead, works with, about 450 kids?
Yeah, from year one, so really young, up to year 6.
And that's what makes his view so interesting. It's not just theory, it's like boots on the ground experience. Plus, his background is pretty unique, loads of time in business IT before education.
All those certifications too, MCSE, Google Educator.
Yeah, it gives him a different perspective, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's really the core of what we want to unpack today based on, the interest shown in his work. The big questions are, why bother with AI in primary school? Seriously, why?
Good question.
What are the kind of practical roadblocks stopping it? And maybe the most exciting bit, what cool new things could it actually unlock for these young kids? But we want to give you that clear picture, maybe some of those moments, but keep it manageable.
And we'll be using John's own words, his blog posts, his background info, the stuff you shared. We'll look at where schools are now with tech.
Okay.
What they actually need for AI, why doing it early matters, some real examples.
Yeah, the practical stuff.
But even, how you start explaining AI itself to, say, 11-year-olds.
Okay, let's dive in then. You mentioned the current state of tech, and something John really hammers home is cloud computing. Seems basic, maybe?
It seems basic, but it's absolutely foundational. Think of it as the plumbing, It lets schools access everything online easily from anywhere.
Right.
And John points out some schools are way ahead, using things like Google Workspace for education, which, crucially, has been free since 2025.
Free. Okay, that sounds like a no-brainer then.
Right.
So why isn't everyone using it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? John sees a lot of schools, especially in the UK, just lagging behind on these cloud systems.
Still, even with free options.
Yeah. And this is where it directly impacts AI. Because if you don't have that cloud set up, accessing all those great, often free AI tools, it becomes really, really difficult, like trying to stream 4K video on dial-up.
Right, okay. Got it. So it's not just having computers, it's the whole connected system. And he talks about indirect versus direct AI access. What's that distinction?
Good point. So indirect AI is kind of working behind the scenes. Think adaptive learning software.
Stuff that changes based on how the student's doing.
Exactly. It adapts.
Yeah.
But direct access, that's what John sees as the real transformation. That's kids actively using AI, asking it things, making pictures, maybe even building simple models.
Okay. So interacting with the AI, not just benefiting from it passively.
Precisely. He thinks that direct engagement is where the magic happens for learning.
Okay, so lack of cloud is a big hurdle. What else? You mentioned provision. What does that mean here?
Yeah, provision. In this context, it's basically the stuff. The hardware. The actual PCs, laptops, Chromebooks, tablets.
The devices themselves.
That's the devices, yeah. And critically, the internet infrastructure. Decent Wi-Fi, good broadband. You can't run these online AI tools without the machines and a solid connection.
Makes total sense. And the cloud platform ties into this provision idea too.
Absolutely. He stresses that the cloud platform isn't just for storing work, it's the gateway. It's how kids easily log in and get to all these different AI websites.
Right, simplifies access.
Massively. He's pretty blunt. Without some kind of cloud system, trying to use these online AI tools consistently, it's going to be so hard schools might just give up.
And this is where Google Workspace comes back in as his recommended solution.
He really champions it. He basically says it might be the only thing a school really needs. You get Google Classroom for managing work, access to Google's own AI tools, and that login with Google button makes getting into other AI sites super simple.
And it's free.
And it's free. Addresses that provision challenge quite neatly, assuming the basic hardware and internet are there.
Okay, so let's assume a school has the cloud, the devices, the internet.
Yeah.
Why is it so important for, say, a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old to be messing around with AI? Is it just tech for tech's sake?
Not at all, not according to John. He makes this really sharp comparison to the COVID pandemic.
Oh, yeah. How so?
He points out how unprepared lots of state schools were for remote learning. They might have had links to virtual learning environments on their websites.
Right. I remember seeing those.
But they weren't actually using them properly in daily teaching. It was superficial.
So when lockdown hit, they were scrambling.
Exactly. And he sees AI now as potentially the same kind of situation, a missed opportunity waiting to happen. Just like some schools dropped those free government cloud platforms the minute they could,
Uh-huh.
he worries they'll miss the boat on AI because they haven't got that foundation sorted.
Okay, so avoiding a missed opportunity. But what are the positive reasons? What skills do they actually gain?
Well, John argues it gives them skills vital for, well, the future they're walking into. Computational thinking, problem solving, just being adaptable with new tech.
Future-proofing them, kind of.
Sort of, yeah. But more than that, he thinks it unlocks learning experiences that were just impossible before in primary school. He's seen how even simple AI image generation helps kids articulate ideas visually, develop literacy.
Really, even with just making pictures?
Yeah, apparently it's quite dramatic. Skills you wouldn't expect to see blossoming so quickly at that age.
Wow. And does this benefit everyone or just the kids who are already good at tech?
That's a key point for him. He believes it empowers all students, regardless of their, current academic level. It lets them produce really high-quality work, which then boosts their confidence, their sense of what they can achieve.
That self-efficacy piece is huge.
It really is. And practically speaking, getting hands-on early helps them figure out, okay, which AI tool is good for what later on. Research, making images, music, writing, it builds that basic understanding.
Okay, I'm starting to see the why. Let's get into the what. What does this look like in a classroom? John shares some feedback from schools trying this out.
He does, yeah. And it's really positive stuff. Comments like, all students can achieve no matter what level they are.
That's powerful.
Isn't it? And children work at their own pace, but can be very creative. You can just feel the buzz. There was even a specific mention of a computing lesson where kids made songs and everyone loved them.
That's great, that creative spark.
Exactly. And John really focuses on that creative potential, especially with what's called generative AI.
The AI that makes new things, like text or images.
Right. That's where he sees kids doing amazing things, results that were just out of reach before. He gives this brilliant example, a Year 6 e-commerce project.
Okay, tell me about that. What was it like before AI?
So traditionally, the kids would learn about, the history of online shops, design a store, maybe write a basic business plan, and then they'd have to find, generic stock photos for their products.
Standard project stuff.
Pretty standard, but with AI. Totally different game. The kids used AI image generators for everything. Product pictures, homepage banners, shop fronts, logos, even business cards.
Wow.
John literally said it took the lesson up 10 levels.
I can imagine. How did that change the kids' experience?
He said it became way more engaging, more collaborative. Kids were buzzing, trying to describe their ideas precisely to the AI, seeing them come to life visually.
Yeah.
And the kicker, he noticed some students who usually struggle academically, they absolutely shone, produced some of the best work. It really leveled the playing field.
That's a fantastic example. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's using AI as a tool. But for the older kids, year 6, say 11 years old, John also thinks they need to understand a bit about how it works.
Yes, definitely. He feels it's important to demystify it. Takes away the sort of magic and fear. He uses tools like Google's Teachable Machine.
What's that?
It's a simple tool where you can, train a computer to recognize things. You show it lots of pictures of, say, a cat, then lots of pictures of a dog, and it learns to tell the difference. It's a basic way to grasp machine learning.
Okay. Hands-on learning about learning machines.
Exactly. And AI Studio, too. He uses these to introduce the core ideas.
And what are those core ideas he tries to get across?
Well, basically, that AI is computer tech that learns and makes decisions. That algorithms, like recipes for the computer, help it generate human-like stuff.
Right.
That it learns from huge amounts of data, but, and this is crucial, it can still get things wrong. It makes mistakes.
Important caveat.
Very. He even touches on machine learning confidence, how sure the AI is about its answer. Gets them thinking critically about the output.
So bringing this section together, what's the main takeaway from John's perspective, the thing that really stands out?
I think his central message is just crystal clear. AI isn't going away. It's becoming baked into education, into life. So the real questions for schools aren't if, but how. How much access? How do we manage it responsibly?
And he's seeing the impact himself in his own lessons.
Oh, yeah. He talks about seeing the positive effects firsthand, especially, like we said, for kids who might typically struggle or switch off. He's genuinely optimistic.
Wasn't thinking to replace teachers, though.
No, definitely not. He sees it as a tool to revolutionize lessons, spark creativity for all kids, regardless of background. He even talks about this idea of personalized teaching assistants in the future.
Like a bot for every kid.
Kind of, yeah. The age of the bot, he calls it. A pretty exciting, if maybe slightly futuristic vision.
It certainly is. And hearing that optimism from someone so deep in the practical side is compelling. Let's just touch on his background a bit more because it informs all this. He was pushing for some of this stuff quite early, wasn't he?
He really was. Way back, like 2010, he was already talking up cloud platforms, especially Google's G Suite, as it was then. Saw the potential ages ago.
Did he try to get schools interested back then?
Yeah, he ran these things called Google Showcases. But interestingly, it was mostly private schools that showed up. He found state schools weren't really biting at that stage. He even wrote a blog post, I think it was 2017, called Manchester's Forgotten Digital Generation. He was worried kids weren't getting the right digital skills and was pretty critical of just handing out iPads without a proper plan.
So he saw this gap widening between different types of schools even before COVID, threw it into sharp relief.
Definitely. And he finds it kind of ironic now. People really want his expertise when they see his work, but actually getting a traditional job in the system has been challenging for him.
Shows how systems can be slow to adapt, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. But his recent qualification, like in primary computing teaching from the National Center and being a Google certified educator, they just add weight to his experience.
Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive. Thinking about everything we've covered from John Goodier's insights, what are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners?
I'd say three main things. One, that cloud infrastructure, it's not optional for AI, it's essential. Gotta have it. Two, getting kids involved early, directly with AI. It has huge potential for creativity, for learning for all kids. Truly transformative potential.
Okay.
And three, understanding AI isn't just about using it. It's about knowing what it can do, but also what it can't, its limitations, the potential pitfalls.
Got it. Essential infrastructure, transformative potential, and critical understanding.
Nailed it.
So on that note, here's something to chew on. We heard John talk about AI advancing rapidly, maybe even towards those personalized teaching assistants. If that's the direction, what are the really crucial conversations we educators, parents, students need to start having right now? About making sure this AI integration is positive, fair, equitable for everyone. What skills do kids really need for this future? How does the teacher's role change? Lots to think about there. This look at John Goodier's work is really just scratching the surface of a huge ongoing conversation about education's future with AI.